Please like and subscribe to my mommy's video. Hi, these are my mommy's crochet mushrooms. They are very cute, but you cannot eat them. They are very poisonous. Let's make some together. Mommy's crochet mushroom tutorial.
So we will start with a little bit of yarn in the front so that we can attach it to the mushroom later. 3 chains, 1, 2, and 3. And then we will continue with the second one, the second chain from the hook, 1 single crochet, and then double crochet. Go through these first 2 loops and the next 2 loops. And then we'll do 2 chains, 1 and 2. And in the stitch where you just made a double crochet, we will slip stitch. So, right there. It's a tiny leaf to the mushroom, and you can attach it to the top of the mushroom later. So, we'll leave some yarn so that we can sew it in. There. And this is the bottom part of the mushroom. Magic ring. You can do just a single loop or double loop, but I prefer double loop usually, but it's really up to you. Starting with 8 single crochets in a magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. Pulling it in. There. So you have the 8 single crochets, and then we'll continue with increasing these single crochets, so 8 times. First one would be increasing 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, 1, the same stitch, 2, and then we'll mark it. And then continue doing this 8 times, since we've done 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, and the same stitch 2 single crochets. This would be 6, and then 7, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And then we're going to single crochet 7 times, so 7 single crochets. 1, I'll just mark it before we go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then an increase. So 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And then one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then one more time increase. Okay, so this way you have 18 single crochets, 18 stitches. And now this is the fairly easier part. You just have to single crochet all around 18 single crochets for 3 rows. I'll mark it before I go. So 1, 2. So these are 18 single crochets, and then we can continue for 2 rows. When you're done with all the 3 rows, you're going to slip stitch at the end. There you go. Leave some yarn for sewing in, for attaching to the mushroom later. Alright. And then we'll hide it with some polyester filling later. So to set it aside, and then we can continue making the top part of the mushroom. So magic ring with a double loop. You can do single loop, it's really up to you. I prefer the double loop usually. 1, 2. So we're going to do 8 single crochets in a magic ring. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then pull it in. Nope, not the right one. This one is the right one. Okay. Now you have 8 single crochets in a magic ring. And then we'll start increasing. We will single crochet first one and then an increase. So first single crochet and then an increase of single crochets. So it's 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. 1 and then the same place. So the second single crochets in the next stitch. We'll mark it and then we'll continue doing this another 3 times. We've done the first time, so 1 single crochet and an increase. Another single crochet and an increase. Slipped. The last one would be an increase. 1 and 2. Okay, and the next one is just continuing with this pattern. So we'll do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then increase in the next one. 1, 2, the second one in the same stitch. So that would be 4 single crochets. We'll mark it and then continue doing it for the next 3 times. 1, 2, and then an increase. Again, 1, 2, and then an increase. One last time. 1, and 2, and then an increase. Okay. This time I'm going to start the pattern with an increase so that the circle looks more, the shape looks more round and not have angles on the sides. So in the first stitch, we will start with an increase, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and then continue with 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And then repeat this pattern 3 more times. Increase, and then 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll continue. The next step, it has a similar pattern. We'll do 4 single crochets and an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. 1, in the same stitch, 2. So this set of 4 single crochets and an increase, we'll do that until the end. This is the easier part, just single crochet all around, 24 stitches for the next 2 rows. So 1, 2, I'm just going to mark it. There you go. And then continue counting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, almost there, 21, 22, 23, and 24. We finished the first row of 24 single crochets and another row, the same pattern. Okay, perfect. Okay, and then we're going to take a short break from making this mushroom top heart. I'm going to attach this leaf on top of the mushroom. So let's see, right here in the middle, we'll put it in. Maybe just to make it a little more stable, I'm going to put the other one not in the same place, not in the same hole, but just a little tiny on the side. But it won't be noticeable because the leaf is pretty big. And then we'll tie it with leftover yarn with the red one. We'll tie it very tight so that when you hook the keyring onto it, it doesn't get pulled out or becomes loose. Okay, and then we'll continue crocheting the rest of the mushroom. Now we're going to continue with 4 single crochet and a decrease. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm using the invisible decrease, but you can use just a normal decrease as you wish. So that would be 4 single crochets and a decrease. This pattern will repeat another 3 times. And then the similar pattern continues. This time we're closing the mushroom top part. So we're closing it in. So another single crochet of 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3. And then we'll do another decrease. And repeat till the end. 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And then this time 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then a decrease. Mark it, and then continue 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and decrease. We'll use the white yarn and then go inside and then choose any place that you want to make these little dots. You don't want to pull too tight, otherwise it gets not too pretty. I usually go around 2 times so that the dots look a little fluffier. Okay, so one's done. And the next one, I want it a little above the first one. not too tight, and maybe on the bottom part. And like this, you don't want to pull it too tight, otherwise it's not as pretty. You go inside and it will fasten off. Will fasten off on the insides of the mushroom. The inside doesn't have to look pretty because we're going to fill it with the polyester filling anyways. And then we'll continue with 1 single crochet and a decrease. 4 times. 1 and a decrease. Repeat till the end. So now we have 8 single crochets. We'll just close it up from here. It's small enough. We'll slip stitch. Go. I love making these chubby dolls, chubby crochet dolls, so I put in just a very little bit of polyester filling, not too much, very little. Otherwise it becomes way too big. Yarn through the needle, and then we'll go through these 8 single crochet, 8 stitches we've done. And then we'll pull it, and now it's closed. We'll fasten it off, tiny little strand of yarn, tie it tight, and then we'll hide the yarn. Pull it out and cut out. And now we're going to attach the white part to the little top part, the red top part of the mushroom. If you see, you can imagine like 3 circles. It's the first row, the second row, and the third row. I try to imagine that I'm going to attach the bottom part to the third row. So it's almost right in the middle. And then we'll attach it 1 time in the red, 1 time in the white part. Continuing with 1 red and then 1 white. Squeeze it in, and then continuing with the last row. And we'll fasten off. We'll hide the yarn. And then we're almost done. There you go. Now we just have to make the little tiny face and we're done. For the face, I usually just use any kind of black embroidery yarn that you can get on Amazon. It says embroidery floss I don't really have a preference on which embroidery yarn or brand it should be. As long as it's thin black line, I don't really care. So we'll cut out enough, not too long, just about this long, enough to sew in the eyes and the face and the mouth. We'll use, out of these yarn, just 2 strands. You can split these, so carefully split them into 2 strands. And then we'll use this for the eye. So 2 stitches in half. But the size or the how far the eyes apart are absolutely just up to you. We'll sew it in 1, 2, the second row, 1, 2. I'm going to start with this one actually. You don't want to make the eyes too big, otherwise the face looks really intense. One, and then another one. I'm going to sew it in 2 or 3 times. Three. Actually, I'm going to sew it in a little more so it looks a little darker. Four, and then is this enough? I don't know. Maybe one more time and then we're done. And then 5. Okay. And then we'll push it back in to the outside to the back so that we can hide the yarn. Here. And also the other one. We're going to hide the yarn to the back and then tie it and then cut them out. So, there. We'll tie them at the back. Two. And then we'll cut these strings and push it in so we hide them. And you can't see them anymore. Now it's 2 eyes. You just have to make the mouth. We're going to use 2 strands of yarn for the mouth too. Right. The mouth is 1 stitch long, so it needs to go right in the middle of the eyes. So 1 row below the eyes. Okay. And then we're going to put in the needle where you just started, and then take out the needle right in the middle below where the mouth just started. And if you see, try to make it into a mouth, a shape of a smile. And we're going to sew it back in right here. needs a little bit of precision, but I still need a lot of practice. I think practice is the key, but it is a smile. A little crooked smile, but still cute enough. Okay, let's see if I can fix the mouth a little bit to a shape that's symmetrical. Okay. A little crooked, but cute enough. And then we will hide this mouth string into the back. So right here. It's okay. Does it really show that it's crooked? It's okay. Not that much. We'll straighten up the eyes a little bit. No, you should be really careful when you pull it out because otherwise you can really ruin your art project. Little mushroom thread. It's okay, not noticeable. At the back, twice. 1 and 2. Great. Push it in. Hide it. Okay. Now the rosy cheeks. We're going to start with a little bit of yarn in the front and just 1 stitch long. Maybe here, or actually I'm going to attach it right here. 1. Oh, the yarn was too long. Rosy cheek. So 1 part's done, and I'm going to go on this side, where I'm going to go out through the here. But when you do this, make sure this part isn't pulled out too tight. Otherwise, you're going to unintentionally make like a dimple into the mushroom. So 1 cheek is done, and the other cheek will go in here. And this is just exactly the same as making the eyes or the mouth. Pull it out. Okay, tiny little mushrooms done.